What if you discovered that every thought you've ever had about success has been programmed since childhood? Welcome to Personal Evolution, the podcast that unlocks the secrets of your mind. Today, John and Lisa take you where few dare go. Into the heart of Myron Golden's anti-poverty programming. This isn't just another episode. It's a mind switch that separates dreamers from creators. We'll show you how to spot the invisible fingerprints of financial conditioning and turn them into levers of your freedom. Warning. Listening to this may awaken a part of you that's been dormant for years. Are you ready to feel uncomfortable in order to become extraordinary? Subscribe and click the notification. Your future self will thank you. This is when everything changes.
Hey you, and welcome back to another deep dive.
Hey everyone.
Today, we're getting into some really powerful stuff from Myron Golden.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's got some incredible insights.
He really does. Especially on mindset, and how we can actually rewire our own thinking.
Yeah, exactly. We're focusing on his YouTube video, The Poverty Programming Trap.
That's the one. And we're going to dig into this whole idea he calls poverty programming and what he means by the poverty programming tap.
It's fascinating. It really challenges you to think about the beliefs that might be kind of running your life behind the scenes.
Totally. So buckle up, because this could really shift how you see things.
For sure. He uses this great analogy comparing the mind to a supercomputer.
Right, the supercomputer. So you got the subconscious, that's the automatic stuff, right?
Yeah, running the background. And then the conscious mind, that's like the manual control.
Okay, makes sense. But he says the really crucial part is the operating system.
That's the foundation. It dictates what programs, what beliefs can even run on your computer.
And here's the kicker. He argues that for most people, we don't consciously choose this operating system.
No. He says it's installed by something he calls the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism.
That's quite a term.
It is, but it basically means all the influences around us.
Like, what kind of influences?
Well, he lists a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Schools, churches, parents, naturally, but also neighbors, siblings, friends.
Okay, so pretty much everyone you interact with.
Yeah, and coworkers, bosses, employees, the media, of course,
Right.
and even the government. It's this constant drip feed of messages.
Wow, so all these things are contributing to our basic programming.
According to Golden, yes. And here's where it gets a bit confronting. He often refers to the result as a failure operating system.
A failure operating system. Ouch.
Yeah, it's blunt. But think about it. If that's your base code, what happens when you get information about, say, success or wealth?
It wouldn't fit. It'd clash with the existing system.
Exactly. There's resistance. The new software isn't compatible with the old OS. It might even get rejected automatically by the subconscious.
That actually explains a lot, like why sometimes you hear good advice, but something inside just resists it.
Precisely. It's like trying to run a modern app on Windows 95 or something. It just doesn't compute.
Yeah, okay.
And he uses this great visual. Remember old floppy disks?
Oh man, yes. Barely.
Well, he compares reprogramming your mind to uninstalling that old OS, disk by disk, and then installing a new one. It takes time. It takes conscious effort.
So it's not just flicking a switch, it's a process.
A deliberate process. You need consistent exposure to new ideas, new information to overwrite the old programming.
And this programming, it's not just about money, right? He applies it much more broadly.
Oh, definitely. It impacts everything. Your finances, sure.
Yeah.
But also your business approach, relationships, health, all areas of life.
It's not just like, say, Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods having this ingrained programming for their sport.
Right. We accept that for elite athletes, but Golden says that same principle applies to all of us in all areas. It's just that the programming might be geared towards something less desirable, like that failure OS.
And he points out it's tough to change because these beliefs often come from people we love and respect.
Parents, teachers, mentors, religious leaders. Questioning the programming can feel like you're questioning them or the relationship you have with them. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can see that. There's an emotional tie there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He even says something quite striking, that failure can sometimes feel effortless.
Effortless. How so?
Because it aligns with the underlying program. Your subconscious is just running the script it was given. Success feels hard because it requires fighting that ingrained programming.
Wow, okay. That's a heavy thought. Failure being the path of least resistance because of programming.
It is. So let's dig into that term he uses, poverty programming. What exactly does he mean by that?
Well, he defines it pretty starkly. It's being programmed by that whole cultural, hypnotic, societal mechanism to be, and these are his words, sick, broke, misinformed, and fearful.
Whew. That's quite a list. Sick, broke, misinformed, fearful.
Yeah. Not exactly aspirational goals.
Not at all. And he actually suggests a potential reason why this might be the dominant programming.
Oh. What's the reasoning?
He argues, and again, this is his perspective we're relaying, that a population kept in that state sick, broke, fearful is easier to control.
Ah, okay. Easier to manage, easier to influence. I see the logic he's presenting there.
Right. And this leads him to critique certain societal narratives. For instance, he questions politicians who talk about ending income inequality.
How does he challenge that?
He basically says they're missing the point. Income isn't just distributed, it's earned through creating value. You can't just legislate equality of outcome without addressing the root, which is value creation in the marketplace.
So focus on value creation, not just redistribution.
That's his argument. He also looks critically at how business and successful business owners are sometimes portrayed.
Like in the media.
Yeah. He suggests there can be this narrative pushed, maybe subtly, that successful entrepreneurs are somehow greedy or evil. And he flips it, asking, well, maybe the person promoting that idea is the one you should be questioning. Who benefits from painting success negatively?
Interesting angle, thinking about the source of the message again.
Exactly. And speaking of media, his take on superhero movies is, well, it's something.
Oh yeah. What does he say?
He argues they often program us subconsciously to associate wealth with villainy or negative traits. Like Lex Luthor, super rich, super evil, Green Goblin, same deal. Even heroes like Iron Man, wealthy, yes, but often portrayed as narcissistic, flawed because of his wealth almost.
Huh. I never really thought about it that way. While the poorer heroes are often the most virtuous.
That's his point. The narrative often reinforces poor good, rich bad, or at least rich deeply flawed.
Does he mention any exceptions?
He does acknowledge Batman rich guy, no superpowers, fights for good. So it's not universal, but he sees a dominant trend.
Okay. That's definitely food for thought when watching the next blockbuster.
For sure. And then he brings up Black Panther, which is interesting.
How so? Obviously a huge cultural moment, that film.
Absolutely. But his specific concern, his interpretation, centers on the theme of ancestor worship in the movie.
Okay. What's his issue with that?
He feels it risks distracting from what he believes should be our primary identity. He's very strong on this point that our core identity shouldn't be race or nationality or anything earthly, but rather rooted in faith. He uses the specific phrase, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb.
So a spiritual identity above all else.
Yes. He connected back to Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream, judging people by character, not color. He sees prioritizing other identities, even positive ones, as potentially missing that fundamental spiritual grounding.
That's a deep point, connecting cultural representation back to core identity and faith.
It is. And he really doesn't pull punches when talking about Hollywood in general.
Seems like a recurring theme.
Yeah. He claims Hollywood has been actively waging war on business since the 1970s.
Waging war. That's strong language. Does he back that up?
He cites a statistic which sounds pretty shocking, that by age 18, the average American has seen something like 10,000 murders committed by business people on screen.
10,000? Wow. If that's accurate, that would definitely create a subconscious bias, wouldn't it?
That's his argument. Constant negative portrayal shapes perception over time, making people wary or distrustful of business and wealth creation.
So the big takeaway from all these examples seems to be aware of the messages you're absorbing.
Absolutely. His core message is beliefs are acquired. They come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So you need to check the source. Be critical about where your own beliefs originated.
Right. Okay, so if we recognize we might have some of this poverty programming, what do we do? How do we start reprogramming?
Intentionality. That's the key word Golden uses. And awareness. You have to consciously choose to change the input.
Makes sense. You can't change what you're not aware of.
Exactly. And then he offers a framework for value creation based on his interpretation of Genesis 1. 4 levels.
Okay, let's hear them.
Level 1 is implementation. Basically, using your muscles, trading time for money. He says this is where most people stay, and it leads to being broke or just getting by.
Physical labor, essentially.
Right. Level 2 is unification. This is management leadership, leveraging other people's time and skills. You earn more, but
you're still sort of working for someone else or owned by the system.
That's how he puts it. You're managing the implementation, but still maybe not truly free.
Okay, so where does real wealth start, according to him?
Level 3, communication. Using your mouth, your ability to sell, persuade, articulate value entertain. This is where he says wealth really begins.
Sales, marketing, speaking, performing, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And the highest level.
Level 4.
Level 4 is imagination, using your mind, your ideas, and using money itself capital to create more value. Thinking, strategizing, investing.
Implementation, unification, communication, imagination, from muscles to mind and money.
That's the progression he outlines. And he makes this really interesting point that wealth isn't fundamentally physical.
Not physical. Money seems pretty physical.
Well, yeah, cash is physical, but he argues wealth itself is spiritual. Think about it. The same dollar value can exist electronically in multiple places at once. The value isn't just the paper or the coin. It's the message, the agreement, the belief behind it.
Huh. So wealth is more of an idea, a concept we all agree on.
Kinda, yeah. It's rooted in belief and communication. And his point is, it's inefficient to try and create a spiritual result, wealth, using only limited physical resources like your own time and muscles.
You need to leverage the higher levels, communication and imagination.
That's the path to significant wealth, in his view.
He also mentioned something about professional schools, didn't he? Like law or medicine.
Yes. He points out that many of these highly educated professionals learn the technical skills, how to be a good lawyer, a good doctor, but they often get zero training in sales or marketing.
How to actually get clients or patients.
Exactly, how to communicate their value. He sees this as more evidence of being programmed to be, well, maybe not broke, but financially limited compared to their potential. They have high-value skills, but aren't taught how to communicate that value effectively in the marketplace.
Another layer of that poverty programming, even for high earners.
Potentially, yeah. And that leads to probably his most provocative statement.
Uh-oh. What's that?
He says, pretty directly, that if you're making under a certain amount, I think he uses the figure $50,000 a month.
Okay, that's a high bar.
It is. But he says if you're under that level, you can't afford to be watching television.
Wow. Okay. Tell me more.
His point is that your time is too valuable to spend passively consuming entertainment. You should be actively learning, developing skills, reading books, taking courses, investing that time in raising your value level.
So stop watching, start doing. Or rather, start learning so you can do.
Basically, yeah. Aspire to be the person people are watching or paying attention to, the one creating the value, not just the consumer of it.
That's a challenging call to action. Focus intensely on skill development and value creation.
Very much so. It ties everything together. Recognize the programming, intentionally choose new inputs, focus on activities that increase your value according to those higher levels.
So wrapping this all up, the huge takeaway is this idea that we might be running on subconscious poverty programming, installed without us even realizing it.
Yeah, from all those sources in the cultural, hypnotic, societal mechanism.
But, and this is the hopeful part, it's not fixed. Mental reprogramming is possible. We can uninstall the old OS.
Absolutely. It takes awareness, intentionality, and consistent effort, like installing those floppy disks one by one. But it can be done. We can choose a different operating system.
It really starts with looking honestly at our own beliefs, doesn't it? And asking, like he says, where did this come from?
Checking the source, critically evaluating the input we've received and continue to receive.
Definitely. So, as we finish up, we want to leave you, the listener, with something to really chew on.
A final thought to take away.
What limiting beliefs might be quietly running in your background? What parts of that failure OS might be influencing your choices, your results, without you even knowing it?
And maybe more importantly, what's one small, concrete step you could take, maybe even today, to start that reprogramming process, to begin installing a belief system that serves you better?
Something to think about. It's powerful stuff.
Indeed it is. Until our next deep dive, keep questioning, keep learning.
And keep growing. That's all for this time, you. Thanks so much for tuning in and exploring Myron Golden's ideas with us.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
We really hope it sparks some thoughts. We'll catch you on the next deep dive. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Personal Evolution Podcast. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Myron Golden's ideas, what resonated with you. Please leave us a comment and share your perspective. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe for more insights on personal growth.